Hello everyone and welcome back to Catholic Truth, where we will be debunking this poor confused lady who says that the Catholic Church is satanic and offers 10 reasons why.
And that brings us to number 5 on our list, which is serpent worship hiding in plain sight. Now, there are many examples of this, but the Catholic Church, just like all of these other secret societies, they operate on the language of signs and symbols. So I've said it before, if you don't know the language of symbols, you'll never see the full picture of how connected and how intertwined these things really are, because they all speak this language. And of course, the serpent represents Satan, that is referred to as a serpent in the Bible. And as you can see here, the Pope is carrying a staff with the 2 serpents wrapped around the rod, just like we see on the satanic Baphomet. Now, why would he have this symbol when the serpent, or the reptilian, as some call it, the reptile, is constantly used as a symbol for Satan?
This is another example of her using internet theology and meme theology rather than actual facts. And it's really sad that she's got all of her arguments from memes and from really dubious sources. Now, notice, I could attack her and really attack a lot about her and her intellect and these sort of things, but there's no need to, because you can't get angry. Yeah, all right, you could get angry, but you really should feel bad for her that she's been so deceived, she's been so hurt, and that she is the person that she is, that she doesn't even care about facts or finding the truth, that she does this. You have to feel bad for her. You have to pity her soul and pray for her and care for her and want her to return. I mean, this is just ridiculous. You can find anything on the internet, and anybody knows you can find anything on the internet, even things that are not true, just like this. I mean, look at this picture. She says that this picture of the Pope holding a staff with 2 snakes is identical to the Satanists who do the same thing. Therefore, ergo, the Catholic Church is satanic and they have satanic symbols. But I don't know if it was her who's completely dishonest or somebody else, but somebody lied big. Look at what the real truth is. This picture took place in 2014, and it's not just Pope Francis. Somebody cut out Pope Francis and the staff in a dubious way. The picture is of him hugging somebody else, the Patriarch of Constantinople, and it was the Patriarch of Constantinople who's holding the staff. And so you can see, just so you don't have to take our word for it, there's another picture here of patriarchs holding the staff, because it's not the Catholic Church that uses the staff with the snakes and serpents on it. It's the Eastern Orthodox who do. So she is conflating 2 different things, saying that the Catholic Church is evil because they have serpents, and it's not even the Catholic Church that uses that. As you can see here from this picture with Pope Francis, this is the cross that the Pope generally carries. He never carries serpents. That is the Eastern Orthodox, and that is a huge blunder. And even so, serpents have been used in the Bible as a good thing. And in fact, in Numbers 21, we remember that God commanded Moses to put a serpent on top of a pole, in which the people of Israel were healed by the serpent. And also Moses changed a serpent into a snake. There's lots of examples in the Bible where serpents are used by God to help people or heal people or hurt people. But there's different scenarios. They don't automatically mean it's satanic or it's in a satanic way. Either way, it has nothing to do with the Catholic Church, because it was an Eastern Orthodox, and this is just a bad argument. And I'm going to save you the pain of looking through the rest of this section, because we already made a video on symbols of the Catholic Church and things that people say about the Catholic Church, like the Catholic Church has a telescope named Lucifer. And why would they have that if they're not satanic? And the Catholic Church has a Vatican Hall, which looks like a serpent. But does it? And was it made like that for snake reasons? We made a whole video debunking these symbolic myths and claims that people make against the Catholic Church, so there's no reason to reiterate it here. If you would like to check out that video later, we will try to link it here or at the end. She also says one more thing that I wanted to address. She says that the Vatican means divine serpent to prove that it's obsessed with snakes. But I'm not sure how she got this. Look at what she says here on this screen. She says that can means serpent. and Vatis means diviner. So she goes through this whole thing. But all one needs to do is look up on Google or in an encyclopedia or in a Latin encyclopedia or dictionary. Can does not mean serpent. None of this means anything that she says it does. And in fact, as you can see here from this screen, this is the definition that comes from the Latin, and none of the definitions mean serpent. Not even remotely. Not in Old English or Latin, not in modern or any other formulation of Latin. It does not mean serpent. The word can derives from Latin, and anywhere in these definitions, none of it means serpent. So how or where, pray tell, do people make these things up? And that is the difference between someone who's Protestant and is not Catholic, and then anti-Catholics. Anti-Catholics do not live in reality. They do not live in truth. They make these things up that are not based on facts, and they don't care enough to check out the facts. They just want to accuse the Catholic Church. And if something seems to accuse the Catholic Church, that's good enough for them. But it's intellectually bogus and fallacious and sophomoric.
But here we can see it again. This is the Pope's audience hall. I think it clearly looks like a serpent's head. Now you can let me know in the comments below what you think.
People say that the hall of Pope Paul VI looks like a serpent. It looks just like a snake. And that's because the Catholic Church is evil, because they worship a snake who is Satan. And so they even made a full hall representation of a snake, of a serpent, because of their worship of Lucifer. Now, to any honest individual, that just sounds ridiculous. But let's look at it in a deeper light. People say that it looks just like a serpent, which perhaps it does. But does it mean that it's a serpent? Does it mean that the Catholic Church built it that way? Does it mean that the Catholic Church wants it that way because they worship Satan and all of these other conspiracy theories? I mean, if you go and read all the sites about this online, it's basically at best conspiracy theory. People say, oh, well, it seems this way, or it appears this way, or why else would they make it this way? It's nothing in particular. It doesn't say that the author or the designer or the architect made it this way. It's really conspiracy theory at best. They say that the roof looks just like a serpent, and you can see the roof here in this picture, but what they won't tell you is that that's not the original roof. For a long time, the roof was just the roof. Then someone in Germany donated these panels to conserve energy and for solar reasons, and they put them on the roof, and they were $1.5 million. Now, I would wonder if, hey, the Catholic Church says, you know what, this building doesn't look enough like a serpent. Why don't we talk somebody into giving us $1.5 million worth of panels, solar panels, so that we can put on the top of this building, and then it could look just like a serpent. Yeah, that's a great idea. Now let's start going out there and hitting the streets and trying to make this look more like a serpent. I mean, the whole thing just sounds silly. The fact that they just put these panels on for solar reasons and for the air ventilation and that sort of thing. I mean, there's really actually mechanical reasons of why they use these. And in fact, they won the Euro Solar Prize for these panels in Europe for their job in trying to conserve energy and that sort of thing. We'll come back to this in a second. There's a statue within there that's of Jesus, but people will say, as you can see in this thumbnail here, that people say it's Apollo, and Apollo is the god that the Catholics worship. And there's other thumbnails that say other things, but they say that, oh, this is Lucifer, oh, this is the devil, oh, this is Apollo. And they make all of these baseless claims without actually looking into it, because we have the architect who made the statue. We have the architect who made the building. They've asked him who the person is in this picture, in this statue. And guess what he says? He says it's Jesus Christ and his resurrection. And that's what it represents. That's how he foresaw it. Now notice, number one, the Catholic Church did not design this. Number two, the Catholic Church didn't draw it up or think it up. The Catholic Church, even if this was a serpent, even if this was a hall, perhaps the architect wanted to make it look like a serpent for some reason, even though we have no proof of that. There's zero evidence of that. But even if that's true, it's the architect who designed it, not the Catholic Church. It's not the Catholic Church who said, hey, build us a snake because we worship Satan and we want it to look exactly like a snake. So please, and put a statue in there that looks like the devil. But don't tell people it's the devil. Just tell people it's Jesus. I mean, this literally baseless conspiracy theories. The fact is, it is Jesus. And he said it was Jesus, so we no longer have to guess. So all of these memes that say it's Apollo or Satan or Lucifer or someone else, they're wrong. Second, this architect has other works, and many of his works look like this same design of all the tiles. They say it's like of a reptile. And again, perhaps, maybe it is in his mind, but I doubt it and there's no evidence of it. But you can see in his other works, in these pictures, that he has a very similar design style in other buildings that he has made. Third, unless you have some proof that it's an actual serpent and the Catholic Church wanted it so that they could worship Satan, it's a conspiracy theory. It's not true. Unless you have proof, it's not true. It's your conspiracy theory at best, because one could look at many churches like this church in Washington, D.C., and they could see R2-D2. And it looks just like R2-D2. And maybe the architect purposely made it that way because he was a big Star Wars fan. Or maybe it's just a coincidence, because many things are just coincidences. And many people know that the mind connects many things with whatever they want to connect. Like in New Hampshire, there's a picture of an old man in the mountain, or at least that's what they call him, because it looks like an old man in the mountain. Now, maybe Mother Nature, decided to take time and wind and erosion and rain and just create this old man in the mountain. Or maybe it just happens to look that way and it's not really an old man in the mountain. And maybe it's not really R2-D2. And maybe it's not really a serpent. Maybe they just look like things. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. That's what some people say. But hey, we need proof. If you think it's a serpent, you're going to make a really big charge that the Catholic Church is a Satan-worshiping evil institution, which some people think, and then they just look for evidence to prove their conspiracy theories, even if it doesn't make any sense. But you need proof. If you say this is made by the Vatican to worship Satan because that's what they do, then you need to prove that. You need evidence. You need facts, and not just baseless conspiracy theories. Jesus is Lord. And we want to thank you for watching today. Please check out our other videos. Please check out our Facebook. Follow us on Facebook already if you don't, for more daily inspirations, or on Instagram, or check out our Pinterest, or many other avenues which you can all see below. And please consider supporting our ministry so we can make many more rebuttal videos answering anti-Catholics and people who attack the Catholic Church. Many of them do it for a living. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless you.